Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. So thank you, Dean Dupuy and Dean Collins, again for being here. And then if anyone has any questions that they don't answer, you can ask them at the end. So would you guys like me to ask you the questions, or would you rather just...
Well, if you, I can, I'll ask the question and answer mine.
Okay,
How about that?
that sounds
That
perfect.
way, everybody knows what was asked. Um, First question: UK and NKU have decided to forego spring break in the spring semester. Is there discussion about that for U of L? The answer is yes. We have revised the spring academic calendar. So we're going to start later on January 11th. So you're going to have a longer Christmas break or holiday break. The spring break will occur, but it's only going to be 2 days, March 4th and 5th. And I think the logic is we really don't want students going home for spring break. That's kind of a national phenomenon. You probably seeing it on CNN or whatever. That a lot of universities don't want students going home for spring break. Obviously, you don't want to spread the COVID back home, or you don't want to bring it back from home. The revised academic calendar, spring 2021, is updated. It's been posted on our U of L's website. Dr. Dupuy probably knows exactly where because she's the one that told me, but
Can I add one quick thing?
absolutely.
Sorry. So most recent meetings I've been in about COVID is, of course, everybody's trying to predict what the virus is going to do over the next couple of months. Right now, early indicators are that January is not going to be great in that regard. So, keep up to date on your emails. It is possible, possible that our semester may start 100% online, that we might do the first couple of weeks online and then move into the hybrid or whatever the modality is for your particular classes. So just stay tuned. I don't know what's going to happen. Just stay tuned. But it's possible that we may have to start online because January is supposed to be not good.
Okay, very good. So, question 2: what initiatives has Speed School taken to live up to the university being a premier anti-racist university? With everything going on from this past summer to the decision related to the Breonna Taylor case, that phrasing has been thrown in every email we get from the university in regards to racism today. Now, I didn't know that because I'm not seeing all the emails that students get. So, uh, to me, uh, a lot of people, racism is a term that is recent, or at least it became popular recently. I'm going to simplify it. I don't use it personally that often. To me, it's just being proactive in your diversity efforts, as opposed to saying, well, I'm not part of the problem. Well, anti-racism has the attitude that if you're not part of the solution, in a sense, you're part of the problem. Um, but it's just a term to describe being proactive in your diversity efforts. In my view, I'm not the expert on this. Um, from my perspective, Speed School has already become an anti-racist college in the sense that we've been proactive in the last few years in improving our program for underrepresented students. And so I wanted to give a list of examples of things that are currently happening. Some of you may be very involved with them. We provided an alternative path into the Speed School that's not based on ACT or SAT scores, or not completely based on that. You can take that into consideration if the students have them. We've moved to fully embrace our pre-engineering students, which have a disproportionate number of our underrepresented students. We have a shorter path from pre-engineering, one semester, it's possible to move from pre-engineering into the engineering program. By the way, in terms of fully embracing pre-engineering students, one of the things that I have asked, and I think is being done, is that they can have full membership in all of our recognized student organizations. So you should have, this is a weird year. So I don't know what the student organizations are doing this year, but you should have pre-engineering students in those organizations. We've increased our support for NSBE and SHIP. We've implemented a math placement test to increase our retention. We are in the process, we have funding to expand the Brown-Forman Engineering Academy. We've implemented just a few days ago, Dr. Dupuy is the leader, a mentoring program. Hopefully some of you've heard of it, and hopefully some of you are mentors or mentees. It's called SAM, Speed School Alliance in Mentoring. Hey, I got it, Dr. Dupuy. SAM. And by the way, SAM is gender neutral. It could be Samuel or it can be Samantha. So if you think that it's a male name, it could be Samantha. Think of it as Samantha if you want. We've increased our emphasis on scholarships for underrepresented students. So this is really more of a fundraising effort. We're trying to raise money for scholarships for underrepresented students. And I have personally been seeking to hire an associate dean for diversity, equity, and inclusion, and have somebody in mind, trying to personally recruit her. We'll see what happens. If that doesn't work, we probably will put out a general advertisement. So that was that. So the third question is, and by the way, you all can put questions in the chat. Let me turn on the chat. No questions. Were professors required to take courses on how to conduct online classes? If not, are there plans for professors to do so? The answer is that we did not require this training, but we did heavily encourage it from the chair level to the associate dean level to the dean's level. We periodically send tips to faculty to enhance online education, and we are considering making training a requirement. At our next APNP, which is our general leadership meeting for faculty and staff, we're going to be talking about online teaching, and I think that topic, I will bring that topic up. So that's my 3 questions. So Dr. Dupuy, you have the last 3.
Sure. Okay. Based on student feedback, how have most engineering students been affected positively or negatively by having online classes? How do their feelings compare to those of non-engineering students? So, as you can probably guess, we have mixed feedback with regard to online courses. Some students are thriving and really enjoy the flexibility that the online classes afford, while some others don't. I mean, there are students who are missing the regular face-to-face interaction with their faculty. Many of the comments we get is students enjoying the flexibility of the asynchronous online courses. I think some students are, the main, challenge I've heard from the students is when they're not face-to-face with their faculty member or in a synchronous class, then they can't get their questions answered in real time. And so there's somewhat of a delay, can be a delay between, the materials presented by the instructor, then the student asks the question, then the instructor responds to the question, and that is longer for an online course than it is in face-to-face. And that's the main challenge, I guess, I've heard from the students. As you know, University of Louisville students, all U of L students were given a survey about their experiences for fall and thoughts about spring. And I will tell you that the results from the speed school students were extremely similar to the overall U of L population in terms of their thoughts and feelings about online and hybrid and synchronous and asynchronous and et cetera. So part of the question was, is there much difference between speed school students and the rest of the university? And it was very, very similar. So no, I would say. Next question was, is it possible for speed school to transition to adjusting teaching to account for students who work outside of school and are not financially supported by their parents, family members? So I'm not exactly sure what this question is. I believe they're asking if we can have more flexible class scheduling to accommodate different schedules, work and family life schedules. And I think, this is one of the good things that's going to come out of this pandemic and all our transitioning to online courses is that a lot of the instructors who have talked about wanting to offer a class online but hadn't gotten around to it now have gotten around to it. I mean, they've been forced to do that. And many of the instructors are finding that they enjoy, if not offering the whole class online, they can certainly see sort of what are the best pieces to offer online and what are the best pieces to do in person. But I think there are more faculty who will start offering courses online, and this could accommodate students who have a variety of schedules. And then the last question I had, and I see there's some in the chat, so I'll talk about that as well. There is a question. Excuse me. We pay a technology fee, but where does it go? In classes like CSE 412 and 525, we have to pay upwards of $50 of our own money to pay for equipment. Why aren't things like this paid for? When I talk to speed school professors, they say we don't have the funding to supply you with the equipment you need, so you'll have to buy it yourself. So as you know, speed school has a technology fee. It's $25 a semester for every student taking a speed school course. And it is used to supply technology needs, primarily software and staffing for the Speed IT that is used by a wide majority of speed school students. So the technology fee is not used for individual classes. If there is a cost associated with an individual class, then that is a separate course fee, not a school-wide technology fee. These the technology fee we use to buy software that is used, again, by a wide range of speed school students, so including MATLAB, LabVIEW, Minitab, ANSYS, SolidWorks, the Microsoft, etc. We use it to pay for the student printing. We pay for a portion of the student workers' time at the Speed IT help desk, and a part, if there's any left over of that fee, it goes to help subsidize the tablet loaner program. So I will tell you that all fees, I'd be happy to share more information on that if somebody's interested. All fees at the university, all student fees, get reviewed by a university-wide committee every 2 years, I want to say. And we have to justify, we have to review the books and say, here's how much money we brought in, here's how much money we spent, here's what we spent it on. We have to show that what we spent it on is what we said we were going to do in the original proposal for the fee. And so there's an audit process that the university has. And in fact, this technology fee just went through that audit process. But again, I'd be happy to share that report with anybody if they're interested. I do see in the chat, and I can take this one, will be a new co-op advisors hired. I'm a bioengineer and about to search for a co-op, and with Michael Keebler not here anymore, the position is placed on Mary Andrade, who's overseeing multiple disciplines. Yes, so we have 3 positions that are currently open in co-op, and they are all being searched for right now. In fact, I think they're doing phone interviews like maybe even as we speak. So those should be, we're hoping to get those filled by end of November, and so that we can get them trained in December and ready to go in January. So yes, those are being addressed.
Why don't you take the next question in the chat.
Sure. Okay, overall, how are Speed School students performing in online classes compared to in-person classes? If there's a gap, what's being done to help bridge that? Is this a concern for accreditation, or more generally, how is ABET responding to the continued pandemic? Okay, I'll take those in reverse order. ABET, we have no concerns with ABET. ABET has been very, everybody's going through this. It's not like it's just us, it's the entire country, it's the entire world. ABET actually accredits schools outside of the United States. And so they've been very accommodating, very understanding. There are zero concerns with I have zero concerns with accreditation, none. How are Speed School students performing in online classes compared to in-person classes? This is a very good question. So the most accurate answer is I'm not exactly sure, because we have a lot of classes that are only offered in either spring or fall semester, that it's not offered all the time. And so I don't have a great, way of comparing over all the courses that are offered. Spring was, I don't know, because we had so many students who ended up taking a pass and fail versus a letter grade. I can't, it's really difficult for me to look at the gap between a pass fail and a letter grade from the previous year. So I don't know the answer to that. I haven't done that analysis on the summer courses yet, so I can go ahead and do that, but I haven't. And then, we're in the middle of our fall classes. I do know that the early alert system that the university has, where 3 weeks into the semester, the instructors are asked to identify students who they think may be in academic peril. The early Speed School wide and university wide, that academic early alert system identified a lot more people this fall semester than it has in the past. Now, part of that, I will say, and I'm going to sound a little bit like our nation's president that says that because we're testing more, we're finding more cases. We asked a lot more professors to participate in that early alert system than we have in the past, because we recognized that there were going to be students who were, impacted by this. So we had a lot more faculty participate in the early alert, and we did have a lot more students who were identified in that early alert system. And I think that's also part of the reason you saw the drop date, the final withdrawal date, get pushed back later in November, is because we wanted to give students a little more time to, kind of get a better idea of how they were going to perform in that class. Either give them an opportunity to pull their grade up if they needed to, or at least just get some better feedback from the faculty about how they were performing and whether they wanted to continue staying in the class for a grade or not. So yeah, that's an excellent question, Zach.
I think you're muted, Dean Collins.
Dean Collins, you're muted, Dean Collins.
Sorry about that. But I'm also getting an echo. So maybe everybody else needs to mute for a second. What do you think the 2021-2022 school year will look like? So I'm putting on my Swami hat, but no, I'm actually going to say, I hope that it doesn't look anything like the 2020-2021 school year. I am really hoping, expecting that we will have real in-person classes return. I do believe that online will be more common than it was pre-COVID. So I'm kind of expecting that we'll be back in classrooms, but then I'm assuming that we have a vaccine and that people have taken the vaccine or more rapid testing, whatever is needed. That's my own opinion. Dr. Dupuy, do you have anything to add to that?
I too am very hopeful that we will return to life as we used to know it. I think spring. I think spring is going to be very similar. I do see spring. The big, and I do think fall 2021. We will be close to normal. The question for us, Speed School, because we have full-time loads in the summer, is what summer. That's sort of the big question for me, is what's summer going to be. The rest of the university can kind of, it doesn't matter as much to them about what summer looks like because they don't have required courses in the summer. We do. So that's the big one. I think spring's going to be very similar to what we're doing now. I think fall 21 is, I think we're going to be back to normal, or a new normal, closer to old normal. It's the summer that I don't really know yet. We'll see.
Okay. And then the last, I'm sorry.
Well, I think there was one before. I'll let you take the funding one, Dean Collins. Can I take the one before it? There was Luke had a question about anxiety. Yeah, anxiety and uncertainty among college students has been at an all-time high this past year due to changes in classes, events of 2020. How is Speed School ensuring mental health awareness is increased and that the mental health needs of students is met? Also, to any students struggling with mental health or even motivation in school in general, what advice would you give and how can students help? Yeah, this is, yes. I mean, yes, we are all concerned about this. So I think a couple of things. One is how are we making the faculty and staff aware? Certainly the advising staff is taking on a lot of that, right? They are interacting with our students. The mandatory advising, as you know, I mean, you guys are all smart. Not all of that mandatory advising is just to tell you what classes to take, right? Part of it is a check-in with you all to see how you're doing. And if you need help in certain areas, we can help get you to those resources. The University of Louisville has a lot of really good resources available to our students, and it's more of a making sure we can get you the information you need to get to where you need to be, because we have a lot of good resources out there. We just want to make sure that that you guys are knowledgeable about them and using them. So a lot of it is sort of triage, right? I mean, either faculty or staff listening to what the students have to say, or identifying a student that they think may be having some struggles, and then giving them the information of where to go. Certainly, to any student, if you have, if you're concerned about mental health issues for you or your roommates or friends or whatever, first, please reach out to your academic advisor. They can very quickly get you to the right resources, get you an appointment at the counseling center, things like that. So I would use them as sort of your first point of contact, but the university does have a lot of resources available. Most of them are through the Dean of Students office at the university level, and so you can go through that. In terms of motivation, listen, I feel for you guys. I mean, this is it's just crazy. I mean, I get it. I'll tell you, the staff and the faculty understand. They are going through many of the same things themselves, right? I mean, they've got fatigue. I think there's just a lot of fatigue. And so, I understand that many of you are not in a financial position where you can maybe delay a class or two, but if you can, and you think that reduces the sort of the mental load, and I would suggest looking into something like that, maybe delaying some classes if you can. And I understand many of you can't, so I understand that that's not going to work for everybody. But again, I would, if you have any concerns, please contact me, contact your advisor, and we can point you in the right direction of the resources the university has.
Okay. So I hear an echo. How has funding for Speed School been affected by the pandemic? Are there delays in upgrading room spaces at Speed, securing new equipment for labs, etc.? What's our planned timeline for continuing progress on fundraising and updating Speed? Why do I have to take this question? The answer is it has affected us significantly financially. So 5% of our budget has been withheld, which is a very significant amount of money. Not just with us, it's school, university wide. And they also held our what's called gain share money that we didn't spend that we can carry forward to the next years. We've had significant amount of money withheld. It does affect our spending. So we have not had rooms. Most of the money, though, for upgrading has come from donors. It's not our regular budget. Donors are still giving. We're still doing a lot of fundraising. And in terms of spaces, the biggest thing I'm working on now is getting a building for our automation and robotics research, which will free up space for everyone else. That is very much ongoing. It's probably the hottest thing I'm working on right now. So fundraising and looking into new spaces, that's not stopped at all. And I'll leave it at that. How are you doing? That was another question. So I'm going to answer for Dr. Dupuy. I have never seen anybody work harder than Dr. Dupuy. This is the truth. I don't know how she does it. I think that if she did this and opened her jacket, you would see a superwoman cape. But she's emblematic that it's put a lot of strain on not just the students. I know it's been putting a strain on you, but it also puts a big strain. Our workloads have increased. You know, COVID has increased our workloads. Even switching, I don't teach here, but switching to teaching online is a more time-consuming format for faculty, and probably not the preferred format a lot of times for students, especially early in the program. So as a dean, it puts the load on me simply because there's just more going on. It's just a lot of strain. So, but we're doing fine.
Yeah.
We're alive and well. I'm looking forward to taking a vacation.
Yeah, I would also add that, you know, I think, I hope that you all see this in many of your instructors and the staff at Speed School, but, you know, the staff and the faculty work at Speed School because they love students and they want to work with students. And so when you guys are stressed, it stresses us too, right? I mean, just because we're concerned about you, we're concerned about your academic health, your mental health, your personal and professional health. So I mean, that all kind of weighs on us as well. And I think we're very, most of the stress and strain that I have seen on the staff and the faculty is often centered around that, just really concerned about the students' well-being and wanting to offer the students, do the best we can under really not great circumstances, but just to do the best we can and keep helping you all move forward professionally and personally.
And then what's going on in the city also stresses students and faculty and staff. The social unrest. We can talk about that for a long time, but it causes extra stress, believe me.
Yes, and I think it's probably possible that the election is going to be causing more stress this next week. So, there's right. There's another question. Is there concern for the university to close this semester now that Jefferson County is in the red zone? Okay, so first of all, I would say we're not going to close. We could go 100% online, but we wouldn't be closed. So I just came out of a meeting about this very topic yesterday. Every morning, the president, provost, director for campus health, somebody from public health and the EVPRI, the executive vice president for research and innovation, meet every morning to discuss, what are the numbers for COVID positive on campus? What are the numbers in Louisville? What's JCPS doing? Every morning they reassess and reevaluate. So as of right now, there are no plans to move 100% online. We are proceeding with the course modalities as we currently have them. And U of L is not seeing a huge spike in cases, so we are proceeding as we normally would. However, again, it's being evaluated every morning, and if we need to make a change, we'll make a change. You saw that there were some changes to meetings and events and things like that, but in terms of the classes, that has not changed. I see Oscar's typing something.
You can ask a question.
Yeah, you can just ask us, Oscar, if you want.
Okay, sorry. I'm also at technically on co-op right now, so that's why I was typing it. But my question was, how are retention rates compared to this year's freshman class versus other years? I know that the data might not be 100% accurate yet, seeing as they're still wrapping up their fall semester, but are there any trends that you notice that are different this year compared to other years?
I don't know yet. It's too early. I don't know. I won't know until we see. We haven't even started registration for spring yet. That starts tomorrow, right? So I don't even know how many students are or are not registering at this point. So I don't know. I hope that we have good second semester retention. I don't know. I know there are many universities across the country that are worried about spring enrollments. Fall enrollments were this current semester's enrollments were a big concern, and they actually turned out to be better than I think what a lot of people were predicting. And so now the worrying has shifted to spring semester and whether the students are going to re-enroll in the spring. So that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that.
One thing that I've heard, this is anecdotal, is that there's been more dropping of courses than typical. But dropping a course does not mean you're dropping out of the program. Something is doing for scholarship students, typically it's a 3.0. Well, they don't know exactly how, but they're going to lower the expectation for keeping your scholarship so that we don't because they know that probably the GPAs are going to be lower than normal. So you'll hear about that if you're a scholarship student in due time. I don't know exactly how they're going to roll that out.
Yeah, but I would say again to reiterate what Dean Collins just said, they are going to have more of a forgiving, holistic approach to the reissuing of scholarships, but we don't know what that threshold's going to be. So please don't just sort of give up on class. I know I don't have to tell you guys, but please, continue to progress and do well in those classes just to kind of keep your options open, because we don't know what that threshold's going to be.
Okay. I want to answer the question, how is our research output looking? As an R1 research school, always nice to know the numbers. I've seen preliminary numbers. The primary way we measure research output is research expenditures. So we've been going up for the last 5 years. The prior year, we were 12.9 million. This past fiscal year, which ended ended June 30th, we have preliminary numbers. Our research expenditures are down a little bit. It's more like 12 million, if I'm not mistaken. It was 12.9. We thought we were going to go up. The problem is that you have 3 months where you didn't spend. Didn't spend nearly as much as you would have. We also lost some of our service center money. That did not help. So, but we've been having huge wins of research grants. So the expectation is that this current year, which started July 1st and ends June 30th, we are going to again start rising higher. Anecdotally, we're doing much better. I think if we weren't in COVID, you would see us with much higher numbers.
And the university is doing very well. I assume you just saw their big announcement that they had the biggest year ever. So the university is doing quite well. Medicine has done actually very well during the pandemic. They're getting a lot of grants associated with COVID.
Yeah, and by the way, that's a different metric, and I agree with what Dr. Dupuy said. But that our grant numbers are almost certainly up. But you got to spend the money when, if you're going to report to U.S. News and World Report or ASWE, it's research expenditure. That's where we've been lacking. In terms of receiving grants, we were part of that increase at the university level.
I'm going to have to run to, I have a 1 o'clock that I'm going to have to run to. So I just want to say thank you all. Thank you for inviting us. Always happy to talk with you all. If you have any questions with regard to academic or student affairs, please feel free. You can just send me an email, call me, whatever, get me on Teams, whatever works out best for you. I'm happy to try to answer your questions. Okay. So I'm going to cut out. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Dean Dupuy.
Thank you.
Who's in charge now? It's not me. It's either Claire, Luke, Zach.
I think I am.
Oh, okay.
Does anyone else have any other questions for Dean Collins?
I think someone's typing in the chat.
I
If
see.
I'm wrong.
Thank you. I think that was to Dr. Dupuy. Oh, somebody else typing?
Oh.
I have one question, Dr. Collins.
Okay.
What's like looking to the future, like outside of this pandemic and all, what's like the next big thing for Speed School? Like what's the big goal we want to achieve 5-10 years from now?
Well, but I should mention we have a strategic plan that will be probably published next month. But it's only a 3-year strategic plan. And we mirrored what the university is doing. So in my mind, what we really need is national visibility. We're increasing our research. So when I got here, I felt we had a lot of research activities, but we didn't have an identity. So if you look at our website, you will see we have 9 areas that we emphasize for research. We want to be nationally known in those 9 areas. We want our experiential learning, because we've had this fantastic co-op program, has always been there, but people outside the region don't know about us as much as they should. So I want to have a program that actually has national visibility. And I would say that will be a big difference. I could talk about buildings, but that's not when I future. That's the buildings are important. I mean, I'm working on it 24/7, but it's not so much the buildings, it's the visibility of the program that I think is preeminent in my mind. National and international visibility.
It looks like that's all the questions, unless I'm wrong. If anyone else has any, please speak up. Dean Collins, do you have either your email address or someone else's that people can reach out to if they have more questions?
I'll type it in the chat. Make sure I typed it right. Okay. So feel free. I'm available. I do respond, but give me a little bit of time. Well, thank you all very much. I appreciate that chance, and we'll do it again. We do it once a semester, right? So,
Sure.
all right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dean Collins. We definitely appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Thank you, Dean
And,
Collins. Have a good day.
and thank you to everyone that came too. Definitely appreciate that. Yeah, and people are welcome to stay for as long as possible, whatever. But thank you all so much.